I hope you fall on that baby head, never threaten that. FCK underscore bring life back underscore. You stupid mother S music. Up taser on February 20th, 2016, authorities received several 911 calls about a rogue Uber driver in Kalamazoo, Michigan, high ID. Like to report a crazy driver. I just got an Uber to my friend's house on the way there. He was driving neurotic down West Main. He hit a car. He drove through the woods and I finally just jumped out. I just got passed by a silver Traverse going southbound on Douglas. Probably every bit of 100 miles an hour. There was a man going roughly 70-80 miles an hour, weaving in and out of both lanes of traffic. This silver SUV just slammed on its brakes outside my house. Okay, and threw out a guy. The driver was later identified as 45 Jason Dalton, who would later go on a deadly killing spree that night while picking up a passenger. Dalton shot 25-year-old Tiana Kays several times in the parking lot of an apartment complex. Okay, so FEMA S down, she has been shot. Where is the person that shot her? I do one know. The car sped off. Dalton then sped off and changed cars from a silver SUV to a black Chevy before pulling over in the parking lot of a Kia dealership and fatally shooting 53-year-old Richard Smith and his 17-year-old son Tyler High. We just drove by the CourtRoom and a guy just shot some people in the parking lot. There were two guys laying on the ground and one guy pointing a gun at them. 10 minutes later, authorities received another 911 call. Kaimi County, I am at the Kazo Crack. There'd been gunshots in a car. There's gunshots in a car. When police arrived, they found 4 people shot dead outside a Cracker Barrel restaurant. A 5th victim, 14-year-old AB Calf, survived with horrific injuries. In total, 6 people died and 2 were gravely wounded in what police called an act of random shooting. In between the shootings, Dalton picked up and dropped several passengers who did unsuspect a thing. One even jokingly asked if he was the shooter. Dalton was arrested later that night after a cop identified his car. He surrendered without resistance. Hey, Jason, hi, how you doing, man? Good, how are you? You alright today? Yeah, not really though. What's going on? I know you wanted an explanation. You can get one, cause you're not this guy. No, if you guys only knew it would blow your mind. During his interrogation, Dalton blamed the Uber app, claiming its logo resembled the devil who took over his body and made him shoot 8 people. I recognized the symbol that S on Uber. Aha. Could you bring my phone up to me? I can see it. I have the Uber thing on here. Can I see it please on Uber? When I clicked it, I went, and then there was like a double head that popped up and I pressed that button. And that's where all the problems went after that. I've experienced the full body takeover. It literally has control of you. I would have never done any of these idiots that have happened, right? What made you get your firearm? Tonight, the Ublia. Is that what? Wait, what made you put the vest on too? Yeah, you remember? Shooting people, their S. Like little spots where it is. A Trialtiana Core brothers who suffered severe mental and physical trauma took the stand. I seen him coming and, I am saw gore cars. No, they gave bags, these old people. They have these old black bags. They re-black bags. If people drive around and you look at them, it gets real. Like, hey, at S time, people look, and then that S, when to tell people at S time, they get to tempo. Your attorney, right? Yeah, you need to get the tempo, because you need to get going, because it S called intimidator, to be quiet in today's proceedings. Okay, yeah, you have anything to say? You to your attorney. That S. Today's rules. Okay, the judge intervened as the witness broke down into tears. So Miss CRS, are you okay, or do we need to take a minute? When the prosecutor asked KS if she needed a minute, Dalton lunged at the victim. The judge asked for a recess, and Dalton was dragged out of the courtroom. Eventually, Dalton pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder, assault and felony firearm, doing this voluntarily of your own free will. Yes, Ivy wanted this for quite a while. Finally it was time for the Uber killer to learn his fate. Corrections for assessment and sentencing for a period of life without the possibility of parole, as mandated by statute, that this is to be served consecutive to any sentence imposed as 2 counts. 246, 8101, 214 and 16. It is to run concurrent with any sentence imposed as 2 counts. 1357, 1113 and 15, and you ought to be assessed $68 state fee. Dalton was ultimately sentenced to life in prison with no hope of parole for his deadly shooting spree, while a convict mercilessly harassed his victim. What happens when the judge throws a defendant out of court? You want to _ take my kids from me and act like that _ you and that like in the case of Alan McCarty Jr., who was facing charges of making death threats to a judge in Daytona Beach, Florida in 2018. The Valua County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous call. "Yeah, want to report a crime. That is about to happen." "What do you mean a crime that is about to happen?" "Yeah, there is. About to be a crime that is going to happen if my kids do UNT come back to me, you stupid. 'Cause your stupid judges do UNT want to bring people to courtrooms. I got a gun pointed at your building, sir. What is going on? Who the are you calling, sir? You stupid whereas your judge warned it. You going to bring that out in handcuffs and I am going execute that S. Right street. Where are you at, sir, mother? I just told you. I am outside of her building waiting for her to get there in the morning. I'm a pape in that, you stupid." Man was later identified as 36. Alan McCarty Jr. falsely accused Circuit Judge Stacia Warren of taking his children away in a child's custody case. 12_take my kids from me and act like that. You, in that __. Get loud with me. Is that what you're going to do? No. Well then, do it again. Come on, shut the _ up. I'm trying to think over here. Months later, McCarty was in court to answer for his crimes. I am not under oath. This is being done unconstitutionally. Y'all took my kids unrightfully. You owe and allow my witnesses here. You w't allow my paperwork. Y'all took all my court paperwork, and when they all come in here, I go and say the same thing. It is pre-trial here, and McCarty spent every moment in court with profanity-filled rants from start of try. No, I am not under oath. All right, raise your right hand. I am not under that. Your bad fanger. I didn't appreciate that, so Judge Matt Foxman gave him a warning, but that seemed to trigger him even more to be quiet, be a second time if they're asked a second time. I am going to duck tap. I am going to tell you, you just threatened my life. Duck tap. Did everybody just hear that? You just threatened to duck tap at me? Really? In the courtroom, a judge just threatened to I said on record, you're going to DCT tap. How about this? Let us talk about the record. I said I'm going to warn you. No, you said duck tap. Yes, warn you. On you said duck tap. Yes, what? The duck tap, yeah. You want to know why? 'Cause I want to protect your right, 'cause my other option is to put you in another room, but then you and communicate with your attorney, even in R&I. Do I not like that, so I'd rather duck leave? Marty continued to disrupt the proceedings. No, I refuse. No, I refuse. I refuse. He threatened to duck take me. I refuse. I didn't threaten. Yes, you did. You admitted it on the thing ISC. I am a scared side. If you do UNT behave, then you're going to DCT. Me, I am scared removed from this room. The judge threatened my life. I am scared. I want to be removed. I would like to be removed from this room. The judge threatened my life, and I want to press charge. I have a consol right to press charges, and you threaten my life. I want to be removed from this room. You threaten my life. I want to be removed. I am in fear of you. All right, I am in fear of you right now, and I want to be removed. See you. I want to be moved. Thank you. See you on Thursday for your trial. Bring the dress. Look sweet. Then when his trial began, Marty was back to his belligerent best. Quit wasting my time and bring him in. Hully, make sure you take down what I said he was sworn in on. No, I was not sworn in. I've never been sworn in this court. Bring the camera back. He's making this up. He is making this up. I was never sworn in. I have not been sworn in at all. You're a liar. Judge Foxman calmly asked McCarty if he wanted to be present in the courtroom. I need to know whether or not you want to be here during the trial process. No. All right, do you want to testify? No. I don't. This is all being done unconstitutionally, unrightfully. All you ain't allowing my evidence. You ain't allowing my people. But the foul-mouthed defendant continued to insult the judge and his staff. My daddy owns the building and I look like a _idiot, huh? Brought your dress today, you little _ prick. You want to _ take my kids from me and act like that _ you and that. Get loud with me. Is that what you're going to do? No, well then. Do it again. Come on, shut the up. I'm trying to think over here. Unsurprisingly, Carty was removed from the court and sat in a separate room. Take all my paperwork so I can't _ show these people you want to take all my paperwork from me, lock me in a cell _ naked all night. However, that room was not soundproofed. Party has chosen to voluntarily absent himself, as opposed to, sorry we got to deal. I've chosen that to music do. He can watch and hear what we're doing. Eventually McCarty was found guilty of threatening a sitting judge. The following month, McCarty returned for sentencing, showing no signs of remorse here, on an order to show cause, which I would like to address first. First of all, for Mr. Mr. to show cause why I should not hold you in contempt for behavior that you demonstrated during the jury trial. Number 1, you threatened the unborn child of the prosecutor, directly and open. What a bunch of you stupid piece of. Then you threatened my life, and the you backroom suck. My needless to say, McCarty was once again sent to the backroom. No, I am not resistant. I am not resistant, I am just not stand up. I am not standing, I do not have I hope fall on that baby stupid, never threaten that BCH bring back underscore, you stupid mother, yeah, keep looking at me boy, where he continued his profanity-filled rants from behind a mirror, and additionally, cause I know, you can hear me in the music back. Ultimately, L. McCarty, Jr. was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his threats to kill a judge. No, you're not taking my fingerprints, not going to let you do UNT touch me. And do UNT never touch my. While a defendant's explosive courtroom action certainly did unearn him any brownie points, how does it compare to attacking an officer of the court me like that, like in the case of William Terry, whose sentencing was wrapping up at the Cougar County Justice Center in Cleveland, Ohio? Terry just received an 18-month prison sentence for burglary and assault. Terry's family was present in the courtroom sitting behind him, while the victim was seated across from them. As he was heading to prison, Terry turned to his family and gave them words of encouragement. All right, let us go get my family more stuff out my pocket, yeah it is. All right, it is only 18 months. Then suddenly Terry turned towards the victim. A deputy tried to pacify the situation, but Terry proceeded to headbutt him. Do UNT touch me like that? Another deputy joined in and tried to control the situation. More backup. Out to be kayed. Applause in this. Eventually Terry was removed from the courtroom without any further incidents. Esco man, ready, we going to be calm now. Yeah, all right. Faced no additional charges for his outburst, while William Terry got off easy for his moment of madness. How does it compare to headlooking an officer in court, like in the case of Latasha Williams, who was at a Las Vegas court for a mental competency hearing? The 36-year-old was facing child endangerment and kidnapping charges after threatening 2 kids at an apartment complex. From Dr. Joseph White said that I was bipolar. Dr. Sue said that I was, and Dr. Bradley does unlike me, even after 3 evaluations. Jackie Glass ordered a 4th one and sent Williams back to prison. Get somebody else to do other than Bradley to do the evaluation. What do you think? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Clearly, the defendant was not pleased cause we have, Sussman. Right, okay, so we've got the Sussman evil. This is when things got crazy. Yes, you are. Let me go. I got kids a responsibility. Come on, underscore. Yo, let me go. No, let me. As officers tried to escort her out of the courtroom, Williams somehow catapulted herself into the air and wrapped her legs around an officer. Esnek, let me go. Me Judge Glass pressed the emergency button and called for backup. Eventually it took 4 officers to restrain Williams, but the enraged defendant was you undone. ACC me of something I did unbuy. The court's argument parts 3. The judge is overpowered and on the ground. Williams continued. With her ran to respect all godam dan, as she was being removed from the courtroom, Williams had a few quick words for Judge Glass. Sorry, I. VA complied. Did you comply? Did you keep your word? Were you a woman of your word? Did I not see 3 psychologies have enough? Swear up 30 times yes or no. Swear before God, I bet you can. Uncompulsive liar. Gaza, I think it is clear. Your client needs an evaluation. Judge Glass later said this was the worst outburst she had ever seen in a courtroom. This is probably one of the biggest meltdowns I've seen, while a defendant almost took a deputy's head off. How does it compare to attacking a judge? Like in the case of 30-year-old Deborah Wren, who facing charges of attempted battery in Las Vegas, Nevada. Wren was arrested after he allegedly attacked his brother-in-law with a baseball bat while being taken into custody. A defiant Wren spat at an arresting officer. Redden pleaded guilty, faced a possible sentence of 1 to 4 years in prison. At his sentencing, Redden had a calm and matter-of-fact exchange with Judge Mary Cahus. Based on my own history, like I feel that, like I should, be like sent to prison for a second time. Have you looked at your criminal history? Have you looked at your criminal history? Actually, I looked at it. I mean, you lived it, I suppose. I just looked at it. Yeah. Judge Huss then reminded Wren of his criminal history: 3 felonies, a gross 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs, got a lot going on. Sir battery on unprotected person, robberies, attempt home invasion. Wren, who struggled with mental health issues like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, tried to convince Judge Hollis that he deserved a second chance into my personality and having me at that moment and just like trying to learn from my mistakes, And I feel like I should be sent to prison, but if it is appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do, but I figure that if I am in a better place in my life. I am not doing drugs. I am not, I'm not out there committing crimes now. The judge was having none of it. I appreciate that, but I think it is time that you a taste of something else, because I just cue in with that history. This is when the defendant went laughter. Nasreen launched over the courtroom bench and headed straight for Judge Huss. Rain then got into a brawl with the deputies. Eventually, deputies were able to restrain him. It turned into a free-for-all as punches and fists were thrown at will. There was sheer chaos in the courtroom as alarms went off and people started calling for help. Affirmative medical is requested. Jude's Chambers, be advised, 515. Got a big laceration to his head, judge her head into the wall. And I got an innate. That's going to be a positive transport to a UFC from Mawalo. Need a biohazard cleanup for a lot of blood. Thankfully, Judge Huss didn't suffer any serious injuries. However, it was later revealed that Reen had punched her several times and pulled out parts of her head. But one Marshall was not so lucky. He was hospitalized and needed 25 stitches after suffering a forehead injury, as well as a dislocated shoulder. A few days later, Wren was back in court to learn his fate for the initial assault case. This time he was heavily shackled and wore a spit mask. Alright, this is on for the continuation of Mr. Red's sentencing. For purposes of the record, I want to make it clear that I am not changing or modifying the sentence I was in the process of imposing last week before I was interrupted by defendant's actions. Alright, being set in accordance with the laws of St. Nada, this court does now sentence you in addition to the $25 administrative assessment fee, $150. DNA fee, the $3 DNA administrative assessment fee, and $250 engineered defense fee, 19 to 48 months in the B Department Corrections. Reen faced 30 new charges for the attack on Judge Hethis, including attempted murder, battery, and extortion by threat. Yuri being charged with count 1 attempt murder victim 60 years of age or older, a felony count of battery on a protected person resulting in substantial bodily harm victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Reen later pleaded guilty, but mentally ill too. Those charges while Deborah Reedon took out his anger on an unlucky judge. What happens when a defendant collapses in court, like in the case of Erica Mae Boots and Latrice Cunningham, who are accused of killing a child in South Carolina. The two reportedly tortured and beat Sir Richardson to death, while Butts was babysitting the child. Butts, who was Serenity's godmother, later confessed to repeatedly whipping the child with a belt. Not only that, when Serenity became unconscious, they tried to revive her by putting bleach under her nose and putting her in an ice bath. Serenity suffered from more than 250 injuries to her body, including a lacerated liver, broken ribs, and a fractured skull. Such was the horrific nature of the abuse that prosecutors said the only uninjured part of Serenity's body were the soles of her feet. Both Cunningham and Butts were convicted of child abuse and murder at their sentencing. Judge Draw Richardson said nothing had ever affected her as strongly as the photos of the little girl's battered body, of the blow to that child's leg, and to say that you did not recognize what had been done, to ignore what must have been the excruciating sounds that came from that child on a daily basis, is more than disconcerting to this. She then sentenced the two killers to life in prison without parole, and as such, the court finds appropriate that each sent to the State Department. This is when things got crazy music. After the verdict, the two defendants collapsed as screams of their family members echoed through the courtroom. Both women started hyperventilating and had to be restrained and wheeled out of court. While the chaotic and bizarre courtroom collapse was truly shocking, how does it compare to lunging at a judge like in the case of Melissa Hart, who was in a Kentucky courtroom for a domestic violence hearing? Hardwick's ex-husband had previously filed a domestic violence order against her. Are you asking the court to enter an order restrain the respondent from any contact with you, the husband was, explaining the situation when Hardwick started to interrupt things, had been escalating, I guess, since the first of the year, and you, Melissa S., had a couple Ms. and a couple of arrests, and she got out of jail in, I guess, April, and she started, we had you and really had anything personal up until that point. She got out of jail in April, and she started my personal life, boo, at first judge. Jennifer Edwards gave the defendant a warning. Has nothing to do with Miss Hardwick. No, you will be held in contempt of this court if you become Hardwick did not care, so the judge charged her with contempt and sentenced her to 10 days in jail. I have you done anything to this court, I have you done anything to him, she will be arrested for contempt. Make any difference? You will. Serve a 10 days for contempt court. This is when things got really crazy. Hardwick leapfrogged and reached out to get her hands on Judge Edwards, but thankfully court deputies stepped in just in time. However, that did unstop Hardwick's verbal threats. Get all of me hand back, got her, UULLB when it happens. Jennifer Hardwick faced additional criminal charges for her antics. A new judge will have to be appointed to represent because she will be charged criminally for the threats that were made in Elfort today. Eventually Hardwick was sentenced to 120 days in prison for her outburst while Melissa Hardwick's attack was stopped in the nick of time. What happens when a drug-fueled defendant attempts to music escape, like in the case of 35-year-old Daniel Nicholson, who's facing weapons charges in Adelaide, Australia, already out on bail. Nicholson was in court to learn whether his pre-trial release was to continue, but to his shock, the judge decided to revoke bail. I know you can stop, Nicholson protested in disbelief, but the judge refused to listen. What's going on? Take a seat. Take a seat. Miss, please, Miss IL. Show you what face, miss, this is when things got music. Crazy me, realizing he was about to go to prison, Nicholson launched himself over the glass dock, overpowered 2 officers, and landed on the bar table before being tackled to the floor. Amidst all that chaos, a woman made a plea on the defendant's music behalf. Eventually, officers were able to get things under control, grab the cops that don't do anything silly. The incident saw one officer suffering a broken foot, while another sustained a jaw injury. Nicholson faced additional charges of attempting to escape from custody and recklessly causing harm to a prescribed emergency worker. He later pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 21 months in prison.